Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivamy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about Thunderbolts.
Asterisks.
What's that winky little asterisk about?
What's that guy all about? What's this footnote?
My favorite character is asterisk.
Hey, it's the spoiler-free section.
Oh, no.
You can't go revealing things like that.
My favorite titular character is Asterisk Man.
Isn't that it? It is in the title.
Yeah. There
It's
should
like-
be a hero called Asterisk person.
It's like they just got the TM wrong. They didn't tratrademark it. They asterisked it.
They asterisked it, and that was the problem.
Because they're a group of misfits, you see. They didn't know how to trademark.
They didn't know much of the law. So they're the Thunderbolts, and we saw it. So we're talking about the Thunderbolts this week on the podcast. Exciting. It's new. It's Marvel, and we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. So in case you're on the fence about seeing it, not sure if it's worth your time, or maybe you just want like a taste of this episode on your way to the theater, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. Then once you hear the theme music, we will be entering our spoiler-filled section. But let's start with the spoiler-free review. The usual simple question, Diana, did you like it?
I did like it. It's very far from a love, though, and I'm very sad about that.
Very far.
It's pretty far from a love. I think I like this through the sheer willpower of a lot of the actors, and I think the script is, I don't know if the script is necessarily a mess or just not what I like. I'll be very fair to it in that regard. I don't really like this like ground level heroes. That's what I call people, just like kind of a little bit strong. These ground level heroes fighting like colossal villains, I think doesn't really do anything for me. I want to see a Daredevil hallway fight. So I think like none of the fights are great, but they're all fine. I think a lot of the comedy is fine, but it's not great. I think Yelena's the only one with an arc, when her arc is really good and it's like got its emotional impact, but I think this was really billed as like a team movie, and I think it's a Yelena movie with other people in it. And that's not what I want as Bucky's biggest fan in the world, as the biggest Bucky Barnes fan of all time. But like, there's certainly like huge highlights. There's like David Harbour. Oh my God, thank God he's here. He's so good. Florence Pugh's an incredible actor. Sebastian Stan's putting up with all of them. I mean, I should say Bucky's putting up with all of them. Sebastian Stan's doing great work, as always. So there's huge highlights here. But yeah, it just never really elevates, so everything's good, and I didn't really love much of it. I'm pretty sad about it, as I was really going in like, Bucky's got a movie, and it's a team, and it's misfits, and he's gonna be so frustrated, and I really wanted to love it. And there's cool stuff with like the villain's powers and everything, but also it's just like, it's messy and not very much happens. So I'm pretty far from a love, but it's definitely a like. I liked it. Andrew, how did you feel about Thunderbolts?
I think it's great.
You think
it's great? It's borderline love. It might be in it. I might love it.
I love to hear that.
I think it's great.
I love to hear that sincerely.
I do also. I do agree with you that I think like just its tone and what it is attempting to accomplish kind of speaks more to movies that I enjoy more so than you. So I see why you liked it less, and I don't necessarily think that is a general failing of the film as much as it is just kind of a failure to you specifically as a viewer. It's not what you wanted or were looking for. I fully understand why you enjoyed it less than me. But I had a great time. I love its tone. I love its humor. I love its ground level stuff. I think that, like, I agree with you. The whole, like, we're grounded heroes versus impossible odds usually doesn't quite work for me, but the emotional core of it really worked. I teared up a few different times.
Wow.
It really hit me. I liked the journey a lot. Like, I really do think that this does explore some areas of theme and personal exploration that no other piece of superhero or Marvel stuff has really explored so far. So there's stuff in this where I'm like, this feels like the personal exploration of an indie movie as much as you could get from a Marvel film, and I really like that. It feels like it feels like the tone of Guardians of the Galaxy in the world of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I really like that mix of some dirtbags, found family, dealing with some stuff that we'll get into more in the spoiler-filled section, all kind of dealing in a grounded spy thriller with an emotional core. I really dig it. I really dig it.
I'm really happy for you. Yeah, as you talk more, I do think this is like 50-50. I do sincerely think there's script problems, but I do think 50% is that this wasn't the movie I wanted. But I really do agree with you that I like the themes that it's exploring as much as I wanted this to be more of an ensemble piece and a little bit more fun and zany. I do like this exploration of like loneliness and purpose and how you overcome lacking those things or having loneliness, I guess, and not having purpose.
Yeah.
And Florence Pugh is incredible and explores it incredibly well as the focal point of the movie. But yeah, it's not what I was looking for. Maybe on a second viewing, I'd even like it more knowing now what the tone is. Because to me, it wasn't funny enough and it wasn't serious enough. And it kind of landed in this middle slider for me.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
But I think a second viewing of like, oh, now I know what it is, could actually be a lot more like, now I know what they're going for.
Because I say this in jest.
Jest me.
I say this in jest because I know that there are more things you want from a movie than this. But you wanted Bucky Barnes and his fun lads. That's the movie that you wanted to go see today.
I would have accepted Yelena and Bucky Barnes and their fun lads. Because I thought they were co-leads.
I understand. And really, Bucky Barnes is a supporting character, I would say, in this to a certain degree, which we'll get into more in the spoiler-filled section, but I would argue is actually very much the correct choice for this. And if anything, this movie might have benefited from a little bit less of him, if I'm being honest.
That you can't say.
I know. I'm sorry.
Illegal?
I'm sorry.
Well, this is the end of the road.
It's.
I married this man a few days ago in an instant betrayal.
Yeah.
Instant betrayal.
Instant divorce.
It's been 4 days.
You hate to see a marriage run
you
this short.
You really think you're not gonna divorce right away?
Yeah.
And then your love talks about your other love and says he shouldn't be around.
These are the lean times that we mentioned in the vows. These are the tough parts. All right, we're gonna have to get through it.
Oh boy, stay tuned, listeners. See if we get through it.
See if we get through it. And can this movie be spoiled?
Can this movie be spoiled? Maybe a tiny bit, but not a huge amount. The trailer's kind of, if you've seen a trailer, I think you get the idea.
I think it can be spoiled.
Okay.
I think that in particular, if you don't have any prior comic book knowledge and haven't been deep diving in any way, there's a couple of good big ones that aren't necessarily plot integral, but if you were along for that ride without knowing, I think that would be much more fun. And I also even think that having seen the trailers, this was a very different movie tonally than I expected it to be. But I would say that was a spoiler that not knowing it benefited me and hurt you, so I don't know if that's a spoiler.
I don't know if tone can be a spoiler. Can tone be a spoiler?
Yeah,
you think you're seeing a drama and it's a comedy, or
that's
you
a
think
more
it's a
difficult
comedy?
question. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've spoiled it if it was a spoiler.
I don't know if we have actually, but either way, I think that this is fun to go into fresh, but I don't think it's a make or break.
No, it's not like an Infinity War Thanos snap kind of spoiler.
That's correct.
Yeah, no, I don't think the movie gets ruined if you know anything.
Yeah, I can kind of agree
But like,
with that.
there's definitely stuff that's like, ooh.
Yeah, there's stuff that's
Ooh.
nice, fresh, but it won't ruin the movie if you continue to spoil it. But before we do get into the spoiler-filled section, we do want to take a moment on the podcast to thank our friends over at Stormcrow Manor in Toronto. We want to give them a thank you because, as we mentioned a few moments ago, we are recently married.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, wife.
Hello, husband.
And we had our rehearsal dinner at Stormcrow Manor, which is a wonderfully nerdy spot. If you live in Toronto or are visiting the Toronto area at any given point, make an effort to go there. They have different rooms themed on different nerdy things. We had our rehearsal dinner in the Nautilus room, the Nautilus room and Hunting Lodge. All this like 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea type of theme, and they have like their red room, which is like an overlook hotel type of vibe,
like a cyberpunk room. They've got it all. It's 3 levels. I really loved having our rehearsal dinner there, but we also go to the Stormcrow all the time, which is why we wanted to go there, because our nerdy friends see all the nerdy stuff. We're like, oh, cool, it's from this and this and this. And then a lot of my family's not nerdy, and they loved it because they were like, what's this stuff? Explain it. But also, they're like walking down the bathroom, like, we don't know what this theme is, but it's so cool. Like, everyone loves walking through this bar. And also the food and drinks are great.
The food and drinks are phenomenal,
so
and the staff are incredible. So we just wanted to give a quick thank you to our friends over at Stormcrow Manor for facilitating us. One of our favorite spots in Toronto. If you're in Toronto or visiting the Toronto area, be sure to go check them out. And thank you, Stormcrow.
Thank you so much, Stormcrow. We had too good a time.
And now let's get into the spoiler-filled section of the episode. Let's talk more about Thunderbolts, asterisk. All right, we have seen the Thunderbolts. We know what the asterisk means. Should we rip that Band-Aid right off?
We're in the spoiler-filled section. Band-Aids away.
Band-Aids ripping right off. So if you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil that one, which doesn't really change the content of the film, but we'll shed some light on a few things. The asterisk is a revisionist title. At the end of the film, it is turned from the Thunderbolts into the New Avengers.
It is, and it's weird that this happens to Bucky 2 projects in a row, because at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, at the very end, the title card changes to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So Sebastian Stan's IMDb is a mess. What is the name of any of his
revisionist titles?
Marvel projects.
Yeah.
They've done 2, and he's in both of them.
Now, when you do it at television, I'm like, oh, the title didn't really change. It's really more just like an end card. When you do it in a movie, I'm like, is that the name of this movie now?
Yeah, because when you do it at the end of 8 episodes, like, well, the other 7 episodes were that title, so that's the title. But the movie's just one thing.
A movie is just one thing.
So is this movie called Thunderbolts, or is this New Avengers? Is it just marking that they were the Thunderbolts and now they're New Avengers going forward?
Or are they? Let's take a moment and explore this title. Can we? I know that this isn't like necessarily the content of the film, but let's take a little sidestep over and talk about this, if that's cool with you.
I'm cool with that.
So it changes to. We were having a discussion on the way to the movie theater. As people who know the comics a little bit, we were like, what does the asterisk mean? We think it's just the title card is going to change over. And my guess was New Avengers, and you were saying Dark Avengers, which are two different. Avengers. Yeah, and I didn't know where the movie was set, so I was like, are they West Coast Avengers or different? If
they had changed the title to West Coast Avengers, that would have been insane.
The comics, they'll do some stuff, I was like, I won't be young. They're not young Avengers.
They're not young. If anything, they're old Avengers.
They might be the oldest Avengers.
No, I mean...
No, some of them have Thor. When Thor's there, that's the oldest Avengers.
Bucky's 100.
Yeah, Thor's like 1,000.
Thor's like 1,000.
Thor fucks up the curve real bad.
He's in space.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in space. That means Bucky the oldest.
Yeah, for now. So it switches over to New Avengers when you guessed Dark Avengers, because it's closer to what in the comics is the Dark Avengers. They're like the spy, shadow, secret-y type of folks.
The Dark Avengers, I think the first Dark Avengers were Norman Osborn made like semi-villain Avengers when the regular Avengers were like unregistered.
Oh, the Civil War storyline.
Yeah, so it was like,
might be right,
it was like Daken was Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wolverine's son Daken was like the Wolverine, and I forget who the other...
I think it was Bullseye, but Bullseye was Daredevil at the time.
Oh, or something like that.
I can't. My memory is a little foggy.
Bullseye was Hawkeye.
Oh, Bullseye was Hawkeye for some reason at the time.
So it was like villains replacing heroes was the Dark Avengers, and these are all like villainy heroes. So I thought
they're anti-heroes.
So I thought they'd be Dark Avengers, but they also are, and in the MCU context, they are New Avengers.
They are New Avengers, absolutely. And I guess I think they probably didn't want to go with the connotations of like what the Dark Avengers would be, because they don't want to go like rated R or like they don't want to make them too much anti-heroes. They do still want to like have them to be marketable heroes. Yeah,
considering that this also isn't like a super like violent movie, considering these are all like ground and pound murderers. Yeah. It's not like bloody, it's not close to an R rating. And also I feel like
we get a few more murders than I expected.
really, I expected so many more murders.
I expected it to be quite watered down. So it was a pleasant surprise that there was a little bit of violence. I was like, we're not getting the Punisher from this. I was like, we're going to get like one or two, maybe like firing a gun, but it doesn't show us who the gun hit type of a thing. So
I think I'm saying I thought there'd be more like better choreographed violence, like longer fight scenes.
Interesting. Okay.
I found the fight scenes like short and underwhelming.
Okay. Well, let's circle back to that in a minute. New Avengers, though. Then the post-credit, I feel like gets a little wishy-washy about Marvel as a company dedicating to them being the new Avengers, and I don't think it's a funny joke. I actually don't like this movie ending with like playing the Avengers theme or like a slightly new composed variation of it for Yelena as like the leader of the new Avengers and her taking like a breath, and I'm like, that's really sweet and heartfelt, and I really like the music swelling here. And then in the post-credit scene, it's 14 months later, I think it says. And they're all around and they're in Avengers Tower and they've got like the A on their outfits. They're all wearing new costumes.
They've clearly been the Avengers for a while.
Yeah, and like the joke, air quote, of the scene is being like, oh, well, Falcon's actually Captain America and he's suing us for Avengers. He doesn't like what they're doing, what we're doing this. All of this is copyrighted. We can't do this. This isn't great. No one likes us. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of a really big buzzkill.
It's a bummer.
You ended the movie, you gave me a post-credit strong bummer.
Well, it's such a weird mix because they enter the scene and they've got like new costumes and they clearly have like hair and makeup people. So it's like, have they gone too corporate and that's why people don't like them? But also like everyone except Red Guardian, it's like none of these people would go too corporate. Maybe John, a little bit, but like they're clearly all just like still like we just want to fight crime and save people. They're that kind of vibe. So it doesn't really match what's going on. Like there's no reason that Sam wouldn't just join or they wouldn't just join Sam, especially Bucky. Bucky doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't feud with Sam. He wouldn't give a shit. He'd be like, I'll be on any Avengers. I don't care.
I think the joke version of this that works is that Sam is just suing John Walker to be like, you can't be Captain America.
You can't be on the Avengers.
He said we're cool. He gave us approval. He said we're cool to be the new Avengers as long as you are not Captain America. And like John Walker being oblivious or whatever to be like, he's just goofing. No, I'm allowed to do it.
Because I don't even know what John Walker calls himself. He doesn't call himself Captain America anymore.
No? Oh.
No. Oh, he's like Agent A or something in the comics.
That's right. Yes.
Or Agent something.
Yeah.
So he doesn't. So he's just John.
Yeah.
And Yelena's just Yelena.
But yeah, this whole joke about like we can't call ourselves this and no one likes us and we're getting sued. I'm like, that's kind of the opposite of the vibe that the movie ended on, and I really don't like it.
It's not a good vibe, especially because other than Sam, I'm like, well, who's the other Avengers? Because like the young Avengers were kind of forming, but not really. But they're not the Avengers, like Kate Bishop and Wiccan and like all the young people they've introduced. But there's no other like Avengers around.
It's like the Captain Marvel comeback.
Yeah, she was still in space.
They said Star-Lord will return at some point.
He's on Earth.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange is still around.
I mean, last we saw he went through a portal with Cleo, though.
Oh, okay. So, him and Wong is still around.
Wong is definitely still around.
Yeah. Shang-Chi is around.
If anyone knows him.
Yeah, Wong does.
Wong does. But yeah, there's just a real, like, the Avengers sound like they're just Sam. Like, did Tony leave the name to Sam?
Yeah. And it feels just like the film franchise being like, we can't burn this name on these losers. The writer wanted to, and that the heart of the movie was a writer wanting to call these people the Avengers. And then our marketing department made sure that we put a fart sound playing over that in the post-credits so that no one takes that seriously, so that we can continue to sell paper birthday trays. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, no, it's true. Just leave the name as the Thunderbolts. Yeah. It's a fun name.
Yep. If you don't have the heart to dedicate to the bit, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Before we cycle back to the content of the film, to focus on still that post-credit sequence, though.
Okay.
One thing that is nice, and it makes me feel like Marvel's back on track a little, so I didn't like that corporatization of the shitting on the Avengers name, but This is the last movie, apparently, of this phase. For 2 phases now, none of the post-credits have been anything or paid off anywhere.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
And this ending with a dimension-hopping a spaceship from the Fantastic Four arriving on this Earth is perfect. And it made me feel so good to be like, you've set up a thing that I know is going to happen.
We've seen the trailer.
Yeah,
We know they're in there.
Yeah.
We know who the Fantastic Four are. They're cast, and they have a movie. People, if you go through the end credit scenes we've had in phases 4 and 5, it's absolute insanity.
Chaos.
Hercules in Thor 4. Whoever Harry Styles was in the Eternals. Eros in the Eternals. Blade and Black Knight also in the Eternals.
Clea in Doctor Strange. Cleo, I forget her name.
Hulkling in She-Hulk.
Yeah, that was Scar. Yeah.
That was Scar.
Yeah.
But he would be Hulkling probably.
Yeah, whatever they want to do there.
Whatever they want to do there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there has not been a single
Shang-Chi and Wong went to space to find the source of a thing that was calling for the rings.
Oh, yeah, the rings were sending out a signal.
A signal to space that they went to resolve. And then we saw Wong later. That's never come up.
Wong never mentioned what him and Shang-Chi got up to there.
No.
So this is literally the first after credit scene, I think, in the entire Avengers Endgame, like post-Endgame universe that has an instant payoff that you don't have to be like, I'll remember that in 5 years or...
Yeah. Yeah, or they're going to write that out in 5 years. It's just like...
the Fantastic Four are coming. So you can. So when you see the Fantastic Four at the end of the movie, they'll come into the 616. You'll be like, just like the after credits said they would, or someone in a ship with a 4 on it.
Absolutely, yeah,
will show up.
Yeah, and that it made
felt
me
nice.
It made me feel good.
It also made me feel good because not just because I love the Fantastic Four, but because it's like as you said, Marvel getting their shit back together.
Yeah, it felt like.
Sounds like there's a plan.
It feels like there's a plan again.
Like there's a plan,
and that's nice.
Nice.
So that's a nice thing.
That is a nice thing.
So that's the post-credit scene and what this movie is called.
Where we started with.
Well, because it's the title and the asterisk. The title's the first thing you know. It's all a whole circular thing. But what would you like to say? Where would you like to begin about like the content of this movie?
Oh, the content.
We've obviously began, but where do we begin?
Oh, where do we begin? I think the thing that gets me, there does feel like there's something just off about this movie, and I think it's like 15 little things. So I don't really know where to start. Like I think one thing that doesn't work for me for this team getting together, I like everyone individually, and I like all these actors. I don't know if as characters they fill in the flaws and voids in each other's life in a way that's interesting to me. They're all very similar except for David Harbour, who's fucking doing an incredible job. Thank God he's here.
And being different makes him pop like a motherfucker.
That's why he's
as well.
popping. And like there is I understand why it helps with like the loneliness and the trauma when you're on a team with 4 other people who have been through almost the exact same thing. They're even swapping like tragic backstories as they're climbing up the elevator shaft and stuff. But it doesn't like make all that interesting a team. Like, it's not like when you're watching The Guardians and you're like, well, Rocket does tech stuff and Drax is really strong, but he's dumb and he needs other people to come up with a plan. And Gamora comes up with the plans, but she's more of a tactical fighter. And like, they all mesh and fill each other's voids. And it doesn't feel like the Thunderbolts fill the voids of each other and the flaws of each other. They're all just really good at the same thing.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I can kind of agree with that for sure. I think that before Red Guardian shows up, I think they do a pretty good job of making John Walker kind of a little bit different. He's kind of a very sardonic joke factory. Like Red Guardian is a very jovial joke factory. He's very outgoing and very bombastic. Whereas John Walker is more no, I'm pretty sure they'd come get me. They make him kind of like borderline Thor himbo type of a comedy guy and I really liked that off the top. I did think it worked, but they did take the gas off of that once Red Guardian showed up and they were like, oh no, we've got a real joke factory here now. Which
is kind of a shame because Wyatt Russell's very good at comedy.
I agree. Yeah, he pops at the beginning of this as a very different kind of comedy, but he plays it very well.
But I do think they had to pull that comedy back a little for him in order for us to like John at all. Because, if you want the other characters to like John, he can't just be like, I'm the most important guy the whole time. He has to, learn a little bit of a lesson or a little humility.
Yeah, and I think like giving the reality check of like he's lying all of the time about, you know, how things are going for him. I think that kind of worked for me as a like, oh, you're sad. Like, I don't know if you're sympathetic, but like, you know, that's kind of what this movie is about like you don't need to be sympathetic to be sad. Like everyone's just allowed to be sad.
And everyone is. And
I kind of it's I agree with you from if someone handed me a script and was like, here's 4 characters who are the same, I think my immediate note and instinct would be like, you've got to differentiate them. There's something I like about them all being the same here. I agree with you, and I agree that academically I should hate it and it shouldn't work, and there's some X factor that makes this work for me.
I want to be you. I want to be Andrew watching this movie. But yeah, no, maybe it's too much. I'm too structured. Maybe I don't have any flow to me, but I was just like, this doesn't work. They're all the same. They're all doing the same thing in the fights, except, you know, Ghost is phasing, but they even like capped her powers, which I actually think works considering that everyone else is just like guns and punchy. They couldn't make her too powerful because she was unstoppable in Ant-Man 2.
She's really good. She's really good. I do think like a super soldier is very good also.
A super soldier is also very good, but phasing is like a power. Like phasing can fuck you up.
I see what you're saying.
Phasing is also great for just escaping, as we saw. She can just leave every situation that she feels like.
See, I'd go for super soldier over phasing any day.
I guess if phasing's your only power, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, she's like a good trained fighter as well, but like they're all that.
They're all that.
Yeah. If I were to try to analyze why I think this works, even though that they're all the same to me, I actually think that this is a pretty beautiful movie as far as popcorn superhero action pieces go. You know, when you're exploring something that is outside of like an A23 or like independent cinema or something like that, this is a pretty interesting and touching exploration of trauma and depression that I really like that they're all going through it. You know, like a movie like Guardians, it's all about found family. And there's a touches and airs of depression or melancholy and certainly trauma in there, but it's really more about kind of like people who are fucked up in different ways supporting one another and having a pretty good time doing it. Whereas this is more about people who are just like, we need to be around each other and just kind of support one another because trauma in a lot of ways is all the same, and you need to be supported and feel loved, and a lot of the trauma is about not feeling that. Like
trauma's not a competition, it's just something we all go through.
Yes, yeah, it's somewhere where we all are and we leave together. And I think there's something really nice about that. And yeah, so I kind of like that they're all in the same place. I like this exploration of trauma. I like Bob's journey through kind of depression or whatever, you know, mental health journey that you want to call it. I think it's very nice to see a superhero movie this pretty kind of like open with its themes of trauma, depression, and mental health.
I like all of those things, and I think I'm just really stuck on the team movie aspect of that. I think that is something you would explore in like a movie with like 2 characters in it.
Okay.
In a much smaller cast, because I feel like Yelena was like the focal point.
Yes.
And then everyone else was just like, we agree with her. And we didn't explore anyone else's individual traumas or what brought them here. It was just like, and we're all also traumatized. And to me, that means you don't need any other characters.
Yeah, that is true.
To tell this very good story about trauma and community and about how like falling into the darkness will just make it darker. And how you will have more light just around pretty much any person.
Interesting.
There are beautiful themes here, and I don't disagree at all. And I think it's really important. And I do like that this is a superhero movie that like explored something new and genuinely did something interesting and new. I think it was just like wasted most of the characters in doing it.
I do wonder how this movie hits or doesn't hit for someone who kind of pops in and out of Marvel movies. Because I think maybe one of the reasons why it worked for me and I kind of liked its focus on Yelena and lack of focus on others, even though it was in many ways an ensemble and emotionally it wasn't in many ways. I think it really works having seen all of these movies and having seen the I'm exploring my tragic backstory scene for all of these characters, except Yelena, who like we've touched upon or we've gotten secondhand through Black Widow, but we've not really explored a journey too personal to her thus far. So I think it was very interesting to go with her. And like, even like we brush off Bucky at one point, which I know that you definitely don't enjoy, but for him to be like, no, yeah, my rooms were totally normal. Everything's been real good for me. And I'm just like, I really like that because we've had 6 movies of flashbacks of the tough times Bucky has gone through.
We've seen Bucky's tough time.
And I got it. And I'm like, I remember the scenes for each one of these characters. So we're carrying that in. So I don't need to be onboarded with them again. But I do wonder if this hits in any way. If someone's like, I saw the Avengers and now I'm here.
I don't remember Ghost
like,
from Ant-Man 2.
Who the fuck is Ghost?
Yeah,
for someone to be like, I didn't watch the Disney Plus show and I don't know John Walker.
So you would only know Red Guardian, Yelena, and Bucky.
If that, yeah.
Because, like, which is such an interesting aspect, I will say, of this movie. So I'll get back to the team in a second. But I do find it very bold that they were like, Yelena and Red Guardian are the lead because Black Widow was really good, but it bombed. Like, it was a really good movie that didn't do well. So I think it's a very weird, bold choice to be like, we trust them. And I like that Marvel did trust them to come back, but I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
That they trusted them to be like such, which is another reason I thought Bucky was like the lead. I'm like, he's the most known Marvel character in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is why I assumed he was like the main lead. But I think but like just structurally, I think what's wrong, again, with like this team aspect is even though we have seen their traumas, the movie still doesn't treat the other team members as like, it doesn't explore them at all. They're all just kind of like, everyone else is just a cluster. Like, we don't see anyone else enter that vault, and we get so much backstory to Yelena. We don't see even them all enter the blackness, which I actually would have really loved, watching them make the choice to enter the void with Yelena. Instead, they just appear, and we know they've made the choice, or maybe they just got caught in the blackness. And it's just, we don't see their individual journeys at all. Other than Yelena, the other 4 just kind of get lumped together. And there's no, like, nice Guardian moments, I think, of, like, the hand-holding of, like, we all worked together.
Oh, see, I like the jumps that they took, like the assumption that they went in there for her, like they're talking about it in that hallway, then they arrive, and it's like we skip the parts of the journey we've seen from them in other Marvel films. But I agree that is also to mixed success if someone hasn't seen the other Marvel movies. But I went on that leap of faith to be like, scene A, scene B is missing, jump to scene C. And I'm like, I felt, and I was okay with that jump. But I see why, but I also see why it's absent. I'm not going to argue with you that it should.
I'm a real show me, don't tell me, even though you told me before.
Right.
Even though, I remember all these characters wildly closely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, everything's 5% off in this movie for me.
Dang.
And I wish it wasn't.
Dang. Everything's 98% on. Like, it just feels so strong to me.
I mean, that's only a 3% difference between
I know. Actually, I feel like your number actually was too low.
My number's too low.
I think the way you're describing it, you might be thinking that, I feel like you might be putting this movie in a 20% off type of a category.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I've thought about what I've said already.
If 100%'s a perfect movie.
Fuck, yeah, it's not a 95.
It's, okay.
All right, 20%.
Okay. Yeah.
20%.
We're working with it.
We're working with 20%.
We're figuring it out.
I sincerely have a question, and I can't figure out the reasoning for this.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear.
Even though I am the biggest Bucky fan, I don't know why he's a congressman in this movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't make... I have one theory, and that's all I have.
Lay their theory on me.
My theory is Sebastian Stan just didn't want to do much fighting. He was like, I want to be in the movie as much as possible, but he got nominated for 2 Emmys, won an Emmy, and got nominated for an Oscar this year. Like, he's doing other stuff.
He's busy. And he's on his 11th Marvel movie or whatever.
And he doesn't want to get jacked every time anymore. I absolutely get it. And he's in his 40s now. He's getting a little older. So my only theory is, I feel like he was like, yeah, I'll be in the whole movie. I don't want to fight all that much. And they're like, what if we made him a senator? Or a congressman, I guess is what he was. But it just... I think that could have been really interesting, like if he was like some kind of exploration of like slow-moving political action versus direct fighty action, kind of kind of a Civil War-esque retelling from Bucky's POV. But that wasn't really what this was at all. It was just kind of him being like, I'm both.
Yeah, I'm
And it
kind of
works.
both. He didn't need to be he could have just been anyone. He could have been a guy who went to meet a senator at one point.
Yeah, he could have just been working for that other senator who was like, "Can you go check on what Valentina's doing?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, and for them to have thrown in
Cat 4.
I was honest to God about to say Hulk 2.
Oh no!
I was honest to God, which we discussed on that episode of the
That doesn't
podcast.
bode well.
But I was like, it's not Hulk 2. Was it Hulk 3? I actually couldn't remember what number Hulk movie it was.
It was Cat 4.
That was Cat 4.
But it was also
It was
Hulk
clearly
2.
Hulk 2 was the script.
Mm-hmm.
That they just kind of like threw in the scene in that one where it's like, you're a congressman now. And we're like, what?
What? I guess they'll explain what that's all about in the Thunderbolts.
Yeah. And I guess he's not now?
Well, that's the thing. I was like, because like at the very end when Julia Louis-Dreyfus is like up there and she's like, and these are the Avengers, and they won't say anything about it. I'm like, Bucky is a sitting congressman. What do you mean he didn't just take the microphone? He was like, she's lying. I'm not an Avenger. I'm a congressman. Like,
Yeah.
like, did he? Like, there's no scene about how he's like, you know what? Political action sucks. I will join the Avengers. This is what I wanted. This makes.
This is
more
actually
sense.
what I want to do.
Yeah. Any one quick line.
Anything.
Would have explained the whole
Or just never make him a
storyline.
congressman.
Or just never make him a congressman.
It does.
People voted for this guy.
It feels as though at some point pre-COVID, pre-kicking Jonathan Majors out of the Marvel films,
right. I forgot that messed everything up.
Pre-actors and writers strike, that at some point someone started writing a script that involved him becoming Congressman Barnes. And they rewrote everything, but in subsequent versions of scripts, they just kept writing dialogue for Congressman Barnes, and no one noticed to change it or care. It really feels like a holdover from a version of a script that does not exist anymore and we've never seen, where I'm like, why do we have a scene in another movie where he walks in and goes, I'm a congressman, and a scene in this one where someone goes, you're not, and he's like, I guess, and then that's the end of that storyline.
What a fulfilling arc Bucky's had as a congressman.
What a weird fucking ride they put him on for no particular
It was
reason.
another one of those moments where I'm like, was there a web series I missed? Was there a tie-in comic that I didn't read?
There's something missing.
There's something
I agree with you.
missing about I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if it's writer's strike, because that was a weird thing that did happen. I keep forgetting that was a thing.
Yep.
Or if it's just multiple rewrites, or if it's Sebastian Stan being like, I don't want to be in the big long vault scene.
Yeah.
Because I imagine there was a version of the script where Bucky was just in the vault. Because this movie really is the vault and Avengers Tower. It's 2 locations.
Yeah.
And that's about 90% of the movie.
Yeah.
So if you don't have him in the vault, then he's just like, well, that's much better for me.
That's a much better shooting schedule for me, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting.
Very interesting. Although I will say, I'll hit some positives.
Yeah, please.
There's like a big chunk in the middle that is just perfect to me. And the first part is when Red Guardian shows up and Yelena's embarrassed. Dear God, a top tier laugh out of me.
That's a real good laugh.
That is such a good, like, it works with the characters. It works with everything you've built up. She's with her new friends and her dad shows up who's embarrassing and loud. It's just so funny on like 8 levels.
It's really, really good.
And David Harbour sells the shit out of it.
David Harbour is chewing scenery in the best way. It seems like he's sincerely having the time of his life playing this character.
I think he is, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
There's definitely, like, there's no way that he's playing this character like that, and then he's like, this sucks, I'm tired. Like, this is fun.
Yeah.
This is play.
He's bringing joy to the screen.
Yes.
Yes.
He absolutely is. And he's also just hitting the emotions, too, though. Like, that speech about how he doesn't see her mistakes, and he sees the joyous child that he knew as a kid, like, that he raised.
Yeah.
Just wonderful. He hits the high comedy and the high emotion incredibly well.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie.
Yeah. For a as much as I said, like, John Walker was playing borderline himbo, he's playing himbo.
Oh, he's himbo to the max.
Yeah, like he's playing Red Guardian like Thor. It's just like this complete out of touch idiot who's just like is embarrassing all of the time, but also kind of earnest and sweet in a way.
It's like Russia wasn't part of Earth.
It is a little bit like that.
Like, it's weird that no one's heard of him. Like, if Russia had a super soldier, how is like Valentina like, I don't know who that is?
Yeah.
Like your operative's dad who has superpowers?
Yeah, Russia's Captain America. You don't know that one?
You don't know that guy?
That guy?
That just feels weird.
I agree.
But he is nailing the performance.
God, he's having fun.
He's having fun. And then after that is probably the only like action scene that I thought ruled, which is Bucky taking out all the cars.
Yeah, that did work. That worked really well.
That absolutely worked. It was such a good entrance of like, oh shit, the Winter Soldier's here.
Yeah.
But also everything you did was just cool.
Another one that does
Flipping multiple cars.
Another one that does kind of like reference and rely on you knowing the other films a little bit as well to be like, oh, it's his little slidey mine shooter thing.
He
like,
loves slidey mine shooter.
He loves that. But the winch of the car when he wraps it around his arm, then punches his arm into the ground so that obviously like his spine can't take that load. That's so fucking good.
That's so good. And even just like stunt wise, like I've seen a lot of cars flip. I've never seen a limo that's so super long do a forward flip. I was like,
terrific.
It felt like watching a Star Destroyer at the beginning of Star Wars go by. I'm like, it just keeps going. Yeah. This car is so long. It's taking so long to flip over.
Oh, him not hitting the right buttons and Genuine starts playing.
Oh, yeah, because he's running a business as well.
It's funny. It's charming. It's a good action scene. The whole sequence in the desert absolutely rips.
Yeah, John Walker just having to like use his shield because the bulletproof isn't there that he promised.
Yep.
Yeah, the desert scene really works.
Yeah. Now, to carry your positive with some more positivity, but ones that we'll disagree on, apparently by the sound of things, is that I like all of the other action. There's only a couple of them, I agree, but I like the other action scenes in this movie, and I like that there's a big gap without them. The opening sequence of Yelena parachuting in and doing one hallway sequence.
That was actually really cool.
It's not Daredevil level hallway, but it's a good hallway fight oneer that like looks pretty cool. The shadow play works really well. Her in just like a lazy jumpsuit where I'm like, it's a nice character design piece. I like it.
Yeah, no, there is a lot of character in that because she has to, it's very, very hard to be like, I'm really bored with my life killing people. So for her to have to like still exert herself but look bored about it, wildly thin line you have to walk.
Yeah.
And like that first hallway fight scene where she's just like, easily, but still having to do effort because she doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah.
And like just in these like sweats that you'd wear when you're hungover.
Lazily fit, not even sexy sweats.
No, they're not sexy
lazily
sweat.
fits.
She left those on when she got home.
Yes.
Like she wore them before she got there. She didn't change when she got home.
Yeah.
Those were just her sweats.
Yeah.
So that fight scene's pretty good.
So yeah, I do like that. And I do really like the standoff meeting inside the bunker. I think all of them fighting and playing off of each other, I was actually kind of mouth agape the whole time. I thought that ruled.
I thought that was really missing something. I thought that could have been elevated a lot more. Like, I think it wasn't nearly as good as, say, like, in the Marvels when they all learned how to, like, jump and switch positions and fight that way.
Oh, interesting.
Which I think is a really, like, high energy, like, fast-paced thing. I think since this movie is all grounded fighters, I really expected like spectacular fight scenes. I want a Shang-Chi bus fight. I want a Daredevil hallway fight. I want literally any fight from the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Like it felt like
you want to see a John Wick movie with superhero agents.
Even just one fight that blew me away, because I think that fight was fun, where they're all trying to kill each other and they've all been sent to kill a different person. So none of them are really cross fighting. It's a cool premise and it's executed about 80% of what I would like from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, it wasn't bad, but like nothing in this movie was, did I walk away and I was like, in that one fight scene, awesome. They worked so hard on it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It was good, but it wasn't wow.
Yeah, it wasn't wow. If I've got a movie full of assassins, I'm like, there should be at least one fight scene that wows me.
I understand that. I understand that. Yeah,
So I think they're all good.
No.
I don't think they're great.
You know what? I'm going to get on board with you on that.
Thank you.
You've won me over on that one. You've won me over on that one. There was something I found a little bit refreshing tonally about it, where I like that in most movies when like heroes bump into the classic like movie hero team up thing, heroes bump into one another and then they fight for a while.
Yeah.
It's the first Avengers movie of like they start fighting at a moment's notice for no reason and go full on ham. there was something kind of cool about all of these people being assassins who are goddamn professionals, not trying to kill anyone just to show off how cool they are, of just Ghost being like, I'm here to kill him. And then someone else tries to cause shit and she just phases and is like, no, you're not my job. I'm here to do my job. Bang. All right.
They're all at work today.
I'll see you guys. Like, and be like, I'll see you guys later. Like, maybe you'll be hired to kill me. Maybe I'll be hired to kill you. I'll see you around the cooler. Like, there was something so pleasurable for me about this not being a show-offy fight, and it was just professionals who were like, I'd actually like to use one bullet and go home. I actually kind of don't care that someone kicked me. That didn't hurt my ego. I get kicked a lot. That's kind of my job, to get kicked a bunch and then shoot someone in the head and then go home and not really focus on that I got kicked today.
Yeah, they're all just want to finish this mission and leave. There is something nice about how it's not like, you don't have to, it's not chaos. You're not like, oh, who's going to tackle who next? You're like, well, no. Everyone's target. Ghost is going to tackle Taskmaster, and Taskmaster's going to do this, and then Yelena's going to do this, because this is who they're all after.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was refreshing and fun and cool.
How did you feel about Taskmaster being full-on murdered?
I wouldn't have minded it a little bit later. It was so fast. Like, I figured some of the Thunderbolts were going to die. Like, you see a cast this big of, like, all minor characters. You're like, oh, well, someone's going to die. Not everyone's going to make it. Killing her so quickly seemed very, like, it didn't mean anything. And not in the way that I think the movie, like, wanted it to not mean anything. I think she should have at least survived, like, the first incineration. And maybe gotten killed by all those cops that showed up, survived when the little bomb went off.
Yeah.
Because when Ghost asked Yelena, like, did you know that girl? And she was like, yeah, she had a tough life and she died, probably like all of us will. I'm like, that's actually very powerful and very interesting. And I get why Taskmaster's killed, just for that perspective of like, that's how we're all going to die, the same way Taskmaster just did.
We were all in that room, and that could have been any one of us tagging in or out today.
Yes, and there is a cool perspective there, so I really did like that. So I don't mind that Taskmaster was killed. It was just a little too fast for me. Because also, Taskmaster's also like I said, I wanted a really cool fight. I'm like, you're going to get it with Taskmaster, legally obligated.
Yeah, and Taskmaster is someone who should have cool fights.
Should have cool fights. So yeah, I really would have liked if she had just survived even 15 minutes longer.
Okay, I can get on board with that.
How did you feel about the early kill?
I liked the shock value of it. It sincerely did catch me off guard. I think there was something about, if they all survived a bit longer, I think I would have been preparing for it. And there was something about it coming at a time that I wasn't prepared for that kind of got shock value for me. And there was something about how casual everyone treated it that also got shock value for me.
That
where it was just
a little mildly upsetting.
Bang. Right? And no one was like, why did you do that? Everyone was like, oh, that was you. I just saw you do work. I just saw you do your job today.
Yeah, you killed the assassin you were here to kill.
No one ever shames her for it. No one ever shames Ghost for it.
Yelena knew that girl.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no, we got hired to kill her, so.
We're all gonna, we are either the shooter or shooty in any given scenario, so that's a tough break, huh, Ghost? Like, there's no shame in it. And I found that very powerful as well. I kind of liked that.
No, that was very interesting. So, I mean, I will also say, though, Olga Kurylenko, who plays Taskmaster, must have a hell of an agent, because she is super high billed in the cast.
Yes.
For a woman who had 5 seconds of screen time.
And part of that might be for the mislead to a certain degree.
I mean, she's at all the red carpets as well. There's also just fake footage in the trailers of her in later scenes.
Yes.
That's just a total lie.
Yeah, that's a total lie. Yeah. But even must have a good agent even to get that moment where the mask is
comes
removed.
off and it's like it's the same girl.
Because that's an actor's showcase. That's something an agent has to fight for. You very easily, if you're killing a character in one scene, could have hired a stunt person and just bing, bang, boom, gone. They brought her back. Now, how did you feel about Bob, a.k.a. Sentry, a.k.a. The Void?
I'm really conflicted on this. I think this is a really messy villain. I think performance-wise, pretty good, but I'm just really confused about. I don't really know this character from the comics, and in this movie, I really don't feel like I know him. I'm like, so he has he can fly, and you gave him invulnerability. Cool. You gave him magic?
Magic mind stuff?
Magic, you made him like a crazy Scarlet Witch-esque alternate reality creator, like Franklin Richards, building new worlds. that's such a high level of power for like, oops, we didn't even know we did that. For like people in a lab. Like we weren't messing around with the Mind Stone. We weren't doing anything with magic stuff. It sounds like you were just trying to make super soldiers again.
Yeah.
So I was really confused about even like, what's happening? He's not just bulletproof. There's like other stuff. And I never really knew what we were trying to stop. And I never really knew who we were rooting for. So like everything with Bob, I think was just a little too messy for me. But like the whole like saving him by not being alone is lovely. It's a lovely resolution to a villain that I think is just like messy. That I think is like you said, like I think the script went through a lot of changes over the actors' strikes and everything. So yeah, I think the Sentry's a little messy for me. How do you feel about Sentry?
I'm going to kind of agree with you on this point with like, I'll curb in a few more compliments than you, but I will agree with you on this, that I really like the performance. I'm going to say that. The performance is elevated. I feel this sadness. As someone who has been through different types of depression before, I'm like, I felt it in the performance. I felt it in the weight, in the way that the character delivered the lines and carried it. I'm like, it felt very personal and vulnerable, and I really liked the performance, and it did strike a chord and strike some tears from me. But I do agree it was a bit much, especially when this movie, as I mentioned, like kind of assumes that you know a lot about the MCU. This was a moment where I felt like it assumed you kind of knew a lot about the comics. And the Sentry is a character who I do tertiary kind of know a little bit about. Like it is just kind of a crazy powerful, what if a Superman-esque type character, but in the Marvel universe. What do you do if you're Wolverine and Iron Man and you need to fight goddamn Superman? You're kind of fucked, and how do you work with that? So I know a little bit about him, and he's a hero at times, but I actually didn't know in his storylines that his villain is the Void, which is another side of himself, which has different powers than he has. And this movie combined those powers. And maybe if you read the comics and knew that, you'd be like, oh shit, here we go. But not knowing that, I was just like, there's a lot of powers going on simultaneously without enough kind of seeding into the backstory.
Wicked powerful.
Yeah, because in my head as well, like a lot of the times I will mix him up when I think of the comics. I will mix him up with, I forget if it's Graviton or Gravitron, but it's kind of like the Avengers version of Magneto, but he's bananas powerful. He's like Magneto, but he can adjust the gravity of all individual objects, including himself or people, and it's bananas. So I often mix up the Sentry and Graviton or Gravitron in my head. So I didn't know the mind stuff and the Void stuff. I caught up at a certain point, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. But it came in a little bit fast and a little bit kind of underdeveloped for me. Yeah, so I agree with that. But like the performance. And I do like the journey of trauma, the representation of the void inside yourself and the depression and what that kind of takes through you, and being unable to escape your dark places and things that you've been through. I really liked the personification of that and how they explored it. And I think it looked really good if just kind of underdeveloped and being like, oh, what? You're also a second character?
Yeah, there was interesting bones here, but it was too much to throw for one villain in an ensemble movie, especially where you're like, we have to meet this new villain, and we have to meet all these other characters.
Yeah.
And his powers are complicated, and then you've got Valentina trying to do like a Homelander and whoever that girl in season 1 was who controlled Homelander kind of situation. It's like that's a slow build kind of trust betrayal that should be happening.
Yep.
So there's too much going on.
Yes.
But it's got an interesting arc to it, for sure.
Now, there are some lines that do devastate us.
Holy shit.
Speaking of Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, is it Valentina? Yeah, Valentina. The line that she has.
She has a line, and she's talking to her assistant, and she's like, I thought we were going to change the world. And she says, righteousness without power is just an opinion. Holy shit. This was the jaw-dropping fight of the movie for me. We both pushed our chairs back.
I was kind of fucked up to hear that.
I was a little fucked up to hear. Righteousness without power is just an opinion.
that it honestly feels like she must be quoting something. Like it's writing that's it's too potent. It's too concentrated where I'm like, what Shakespeare play is that from?
It's like, it's right up there with like, what is grief if not love persevering? And it's like, that can't be an MCU quote.
Yeah.
That can't be from a Marvel thing.
An original here. No, that must be from something else. And it's like, there's variations of that take otherwise, but I'm like, if that's from something, y'all need to let me know, because that hits like a fucking Mack truck.
We're not live Googling, so we're not going to look it up. But like, yeah, the fact that both of us were just, I missed the second half of the scene because I was just floored.
Yeah, righteousness without power is just an opinion.
Whoa! It made me feel like I was just on a Reddit forum. Like I'm like, you're right. Everything I could say to any character in this movie is just a thing I would post online. Like that's all the power. It made me feel powerless.
It made me feel small.
It made me feel small.
It made me as a human man in the theater feel small.
She did that through her words, through the TV.
Yeah.
It was like the only moment where I was like, oh, she is a villain. Because she just attacked me.
She just trampled me. Yeah.
Incredible line.
An incredible
and great line read by Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah. Julia Louis-Dreyfus does a fantastic job of this character, I think.
She's nailed it. It doesn't feel as like interesting as when it was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I don't know what's quite missing there. Maybe it was just the appeal of like, I didn't know she was going to be here in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but she definitely is just like, she's so cool.
She's so cool. I think there is something less cool here. Like the writing wise, she is a character now who's on her back foot. She's off balance. She is defensive and scrambling.
Which isn't as powerful.
It isn't as and it isn't as cool.
It's not as cool.
So she has moments of it, but this is a character who's being attacked and who is barely keeping it together, type of a thing.
And nice to have a lady villain.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, we don't do that much. Hello. Ladies can be evil.
Ladies can be evil too. It's 2025 or whatever year it is in the MCU at this particular moment.
In MCU, just general stuff. I did laugh during the mid-credit scene because I think they kind of accidentally burned themselves. So during the end credits, there's all this like fake media about them being the new Avengers.
Oh yeah.
And it's actually pretty good.
Credit scroller, yeah.
During the credit scroll, it's actually pretty good. It's like, these guys are the Avengers. One of the lines was like, the heard around the world.
Yeah, and they were all takes off of like different famous magazine and print covers and stuff like that.
They were, but while I was looking at them, like I just couldn't stop thinking. I was like, this feels exactly like the internet's response to RDJ being cast as Doom. Every single one of these headlines could have been, RDJ is Dr. Doom?
Is this good enough? Yeah.
Huh? These guys? Again?
Yep.
Every single one of them felt wildly reminiscent to, like, they thought it was going to be a huge hit, and we were all like, oh, okay.
That's very funny, huh?
And it kind of like helped me vibe out like the end credit scene when they were the new Avengers of like how it must feel to be RDJ to walk on set and be like, well, no one wants me as Doom, but I've signed the contract.
Just like, hey, do you like these popular, powerful, and famous people? And everyone being like, that's just kind of comes off like a wet fart. We don't really care about that.
No, thought we were done with all these guys.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Why are they back?
We thought we were done with all these guys.
Ghost and John Walker
are here? We saw him kill him. We're done with John Walker.
Bucky's been in 12 movies. Let him rest.
Let him go. Red Guardian was part of the Soviet Union. What are we doing?
We're not cool with them.
No, this is all messed up.
So that was just very, very similar vibes to me. I was like, was this taken from responses from the RDJ casting?
That's very funny. That's very funny. Yeah.
But also my genuine reaction.
I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, but I do really like it. There was one little Easter egg. I don't know if you didn't react, so I don't think you. I don't know if you enjoyed it or caught it, but the on your left from John Walker at one point.
I did get that. No,
okay.
that was
cute.
That was cute. That was very like it was a very subtle but like not too Easter eggy of a thing of like, I am still trying to be Captain America.
That was the right amount.
It was the exact right amount. I will also say this movie has like no Easter eggs.
Oh, and Which is, for as much as it relies on you knowing a bunch,
They're
it
not
doesn't
like,
really have a lot.
we're not dropping hints of future projects. We're not dropping hints of characters who aren't here, except for like one mention of Sam Wilson.
Yeah, there's no like, we found adamantium. There's no like the Eternal that busted out of the earth. There's
no Ghost talking about what Ant-Man's doing, like if she's still in touch with him, or Goliath from who played Goliath?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah,
Yes.
she's not like, well, Goliath. I know a guy who could become 6 feet tall if we need him. Wait,
Yeah.
6 feet isn't tall
6
enough.
feet
Wait,
isn't-
6 feet isn't tall enough.
It's like a little tall.
I know a average sized man if we need him.
I wonder if Lawrence Fishburne is 6 feet. I'd actually be very interested.
Well, aren't you impressed? I used to be 5'9". Okay, 10 feet tall.
Okay.
Go with 10 feet.
Sure.
If we need a 10-foot tall man, she knows somebody.
Oh my God, Lawrence Fishburne's 6 feet tall.
Okay,
According to the internet.
So if we need a 6-foot tall man, she does know.
I know
it.
actor Lawrence Fishburne, who is already the height that we need him to be.
But he can change his height.
Yeah. If we need someone who's kind of tall for like a YMCA game of basketball, but not tall enough for the NBA, I know a guy.
But no little Easter eggs like that. No like, where's Steve Rogers, which they did so much in the
Yes.
first Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like he doesn't even bring up Steve.
Yes.
So it really is like just it is strange, but I like it that even though it's all these like side characters that you might not even know, they do not bring any other elements in.
They don't even bring up the Snap. They bring up the
shit.
Chintari. This is a movie that does not acknowledge for a lot of it in many ways, because like Yelena does mention that like my sister's gone, but doesn't say like while returning the Soul Stone. Like there's no Infinity Stone references or anything like that. It is, and we've kind of discussed off mic that this is kind of why Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom and stuff like that feels so uninspired. That it feels like the MCU's general attempt to get all of us back on board is by making it the year 2010 again. And just
We're back in Avengers Tower. We have a Captain America. We have a Black Widow.
It's the Avengers exhibit. Check it out. These are the handcuffs that we used on Loki. It's the scepter from the Chintari invasion. It is really heavily referential, if of any MCU, of just the first Avengers film. Which
kind of makes sense for like it's in New York for a lot of it, but a lot of the movies were in New York, so that's kind of it really is like, remember the good times.
They don't even mention like there's no mention of Wakanda despite Bucky's arm, of vibranium, of any kind of it's very like we want to return Marvel to the first Avengers film.
Even when they get to Avengers Tower and Val's like, oh, so many good things happened here, remember? But she doesn't go into it, but it's like Ultron attacked them here, Loki attacked them here, but they really focused on the Loki aspect.
Yes.
The Chitauri invasion aspect, Yeah, they really want that nostalgia factor.
They really want that for a thing that, like, I guess it was a while ago, but it's not long enough to be milking. That
was kind of weird when Bucky said that to the intern, when he was like, you probably don't remember. I'm like, wasn't it only like 10 years ago in universe? And then when she calls him back, she was like, I was in high school when the Chitauri attacked.
Yeah. That's funny.
Bucky, do you have no sense of time after being frozen so much? Of like, so I guess no one remembers that. I got frozen again, so it was probably like 50 years ago.
That's very interesting. I hadn't really considered that.
Bucky has no sense of time.
Huh. Yeah.
He told this adult woman she doesn't remember the Chitauri invasion.
The Chitauri invasion. Yeah, be like, no, I remember.
I remember.
It's also pretty important.
It's like being like, that's like someone coming up to me like, I bet you don't remember 9/11. I'd be like, I remember 9/11.
I was in high school, and it was a thing I was told to not forget, and so I didn't.
We made a big slogan
We made a whole big thing about it.
I bet they did the same thing about the Chitauri invasion.
Yeah, the Rogers musical was supposed to be a Broadway hit for years in universe, about this whole thing. Yeah, she probably saw that musical.
Oh, but no one really remembers.
No one really,
when aliens first invaded Earth and destroyed New York.
Well, I'm feeling pretty good about Thunderbolts. I think I got all my big ones out there. How you
I think
feeling?
you're feeling better than me. I'm sad about it still.
I'm feeling better than you.
Discussion-wise, I think this was a good talk.
Yeah, it was a good talk. I see why you didn't like it. It definitely isn't made for you as much as it was made for me.
I see why you liked it, and I think I would have been so much more forgiving even if it wasn't made for me, if I just didn't go in thinking it was made for me.
A final positive that I will say, and even you may not have noticed, but I think that this is one that you will agree with me with, is that I really liked how this movie looked in the sense of just the lighting and the rooms. It was naturally lit. Everyone had that kind of Kong Skull Island glow about them. Everyone looked a little bit sexy. And on top of that, just like the rooms were well set decorated and felt, if it was CGI, it was really well done, but they felt real and had depth and care and character. Things from Red Guardian's apartment.
It was so real. What a real house.
To Bob's attic, and like things just like even the car flips and the limo. At no point was I like, ooh, you were really in a green screen room on this one. And I don't know if that is a credit to phenomenal visual effects and CGI work, or to using practical sets. But I'm like, the lamps, the lighting, it was kind of fucked up for me to just see like them have a conversation in a room. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen a lamp touch a Marvel actor's face in what feels like 10 years.
Oh, they all just get the overhead even lighting.
Or like a harsh light that's kind of meant to match the sun, but then the sun's direction has changed, and what they decided to put in as the digital environment, and none of the angles of lighting work or sync up in any way. And I was just like, oh my God, there are 2 lamps in a room, and Florence Pugh and David Harbour are having a scene in a room that people placed books in and lamps in.
This bar is so low, babe.
And I understand that I am describing it as a low bar, but I do also even think that in terms of practical sets, it was very carefully done and well crafted, and the lighting did look nice, and the sets felt lived in, and I actually really like the environments and the scenes, and even just like the composition and the framing and the blocking. I'm like, everyone looks good and moves in the right place in wonderful sets. It was a pretty good looking film, so I liked that.
I also thought it looked pretty good. I don't have any technical things to say about it. I thought it looked very distinct throughout the entire thing. Like there was one specific filter put on everything.
Oh, okay.
In a way that didn't bother me, but I was like, oh, there is a distinct look of the lighting of this movie.
There was a visual style they were going for.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't an actor's head floating on a
There was no
digital
floating.
Spider-Man suit or Iron Man costume. There was no floating.
No, I mean, that's what you get when you just have like all actors who just punch and are just standing there in regular outfits.
Yeah.
Like, and also most of them didn't even have outfits. Bucky was in a leather jacket and Yelena was in some sweats. Like,
Yep.
That's real.
That's real.
If they CG'd some sweats, that'd be crazy.
They've CGI'd less.
They have CGI'd less.
Yes. Yeah. Spider-Man. Was it No Way Home or Far From Home? Far From Home is the one that's a mess of CGI, where it's like the actor who played Betty Brant they couldn't get back, and her head's floating on another actor's body, and the guy who played Flash Thompson was unavailable, so he's on a video call in a green screen room in a frat dorm, and Betty Brant is on the sidewalk, and her head is floating and doesn't match the shoulders of.
I've never seen this.
It's a monstrous mess.
Oh.
No one was available on the same day.
I gotta look this up
Clearly,
later.
they only focused on hiding the Spider-Man, and they were unable or unwilling to get any other actors in the same room. So that one, that's one where it's like, you don't need to do that. But anyway, very good looking film. I'm glad that we've sorted out some of our feelings.
We've sorted out some of our feelings. Yeah, I understand liking it, and it was just not as much for Diane as I wanted it to be.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe on a rewatch, it might give you 5% more.
That would be 85. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to get to 85.
See, now our numbers are getting a little better.
Numbers are getting better. 6 feet.
Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Now that we've discussed everything, what would you change about this movie if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, YouTube, if you're into video podcasting. Wherever it is that you get your podcasts, take a moment to make sure that you hit subscribe. Don't just search for this episode, for the name of our show every week. Hit subscribe. It helps us move up the rankings and find new listeners. And as well, leave a rating or a review, because again, that helps us find new listeners, and it makes it more likely when someone does find our show that they're going to check the reviews and actually give us a listen.
Yeah, and you can do that like while you're listening. While you're listening to this podcast, you're like, what am I going to do while I listen to Talk from Superheroes? You're going to rate and review and subscribe to it.
Yeah.
Fill up your day.
While
Get your tasks done.
While you're on that bus or subway or bench or at home, wherever it is that you're listening to this, bring it up right now and finish off the episode while you do it.
It's easy and we appreciate it.
We certainly do. And it's a free way to support the show. But if you do have a little money in the bank and want to support the show monetarily, you can do that over on our Patreon page at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. Lots of different ways to support the show, depending on your budget. You can do $1 a month, $5, $10, whatever it is you have in your budget. Get different bonuses like our webcomic early. You can get these episodes early and ad-free, so you could be listening to this on a Thursday night, and ad-free as well, which is pretty dope.
And also very fun if you're like, should I go see Thunderbolts this weekend? Should I go see Fantastic Four in July?
We'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
We'll let you know. And as well, at the $10 level, you will get an exclusive bonus episode of this podcast every single month. And when you sign up, you can get immediate access to the whole back catalog. Lots of extra episodes for you to listen to. And also, it's just a fun way to directly support the show if you want to support this show. As you're all probably learning by the just terrible state of media in the world, you have to directly support the things that you love. Otherwise, they can very quickly cease to exist, unfortunately.
Don't let Valnet buy us.
Don't let Valnet buy us.
And destroy our content. It's been sad on the internet lately. We are very blessed to be owning our own business and creators, but yes, it really does help us out so much if you support directly. It really ensures that we can keep creating all the content we make on the From Superheroes Network, whether it be our podcast, other podcasts, our webcomic. It all sincerely helps. It's going directly into the content creation process.
Some of the best and best paying outlets online are now just AI slot factories. I used to write for a lot of those places.
Yeah,
and now they either pay $5 an article or don't pay at all and just have AI churn it out. And and just a bunch of people who are laid off. So the only way to support things is to support independent creators directly. It means so much. So check out the options if you have it in the budget over at the webpage, patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And thank you to all of our current and future patrons. You help make sure that this exists.
Thank you so much to our patrons.
It means a lot. And now, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Diana, what would you change?
My changes are actually pretty straightforward for a movie that I had a lot of problems with. And this is going to seem very biased, but I do think this is just a better structure. Bucky is not a congressman. He's just still buckying around, and he's friends with that other congressman who is trying to take Val down. And he just goes to the vault right from the beginning. He's in the vault from the start. He's one of the people in the vault at the beginning. So we lose about 20 minutes of all this Congress stuff. We don't need to go to the impeachment where Bucky's just sitting there. Everything with Bucky as a congressman is wildly boring. It's not interesting. He's trying to get the intern to turn on Val, but he's not doing anything interesting. It's not charming. It's not funny. It's just kind of a scene. He's reading packets from Congress, and it's just kind of like, oh, he spilled some sauce on it, but it's not that funny, and it's not that sad, and it's not saying anything. So everything with Bucky as a congressman is gone. I think we're going to gain about 20 minutes of movie from that. And what I love about that is Bucky's going to go into the vault immediately. He can still like steal a motorcycle and do his cool fight scene all by himself later when they're in the limo. But what I'm going to do with that 20 minutes is I'm going to give everyone other than Yelena a little bit more development. I would love to see scenes with the other Thunderbolts that Yelena's not in. I would like to see them talk to each other, and I would like to see how they all got to the vault. I would like to see them walk into the void together. I would like to see the other Thunderbolts really have arcs and not just kind of be like Yelena's cheerleaders who are also here. And I think cutting Bucky as a congressman really gives you that extra time. And it would still just be a 2-hour movie, which I think is the right length of this. And then it just kind of like everyone gets a bit more of an arc. Then it's kind of just more rewarding when we're all in the voidscape, when we're all helping Bob. They've all been on a journey at that point. So I think that's going to be like my big overarching change is Bucky's not a congressman. We're going to start this all so sooner. We don't have to, because I think Red Guardian coming later totally works because he already knows Yelena and we had an opening scene with him. So he doesn't need to be in the vault right off the bat. I think that actually is great writing, the way he gets into the story. But Bucky just needs to be there from the beginning. That's going to be my big change for Thunderbolts. Andrew, what would you change?
Well, first of all, I love that. I'm very much on board with that. I think it's great. Yeah, the congressman angle, it's nothing. It's a holdover from something.
He can just be investigating the vault.
And even the impeachment angle is really nothing as well. Like, she doesn't get impeached, and it's just kind of a series of scenes killing time. It doesn't have an angle. It doesn't go anywhere, and it doesn't say anything.
And at this point in the world, like, that we live in, whenever, like, you're trying to impeach someone, I'm like, you're not gonna.
You're not gonna.
It's what I've learned about impeachment.
Yeah, everyone can just do whatever they want. There's no consequences.
Especially if you're a villain in the Marvel universe. So yeah. her being impeached isn't anything.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing at all. I think my main change is I'll get on board with all of that. No congressman, and he's there. Mine is just one thing that I felt was kind of missing and sloppy. Was just one scene, really. It is the ending. It is the announcement of the new Avengers. It's when she's there. The heroes have saved the day. Bob is Bob again.
Bob is Bob.
And the Thunderbolts are all working as a crew. And then they look over and they see Valentina. And then we have a funny moment from Red Guardian where he's like, I'm going to kill her. And I'm like, awesome. That's super funny.
Very funny.
She goes through the curtain. The press conference is there. She announces them as the new Avengers. And they all go along with it, and I don't know why. And I'm like, so you're not impeached, and you're still in charge, and you're just going to kind of be around because I get it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is a phenomenal performer, and Marvel, you want to have more of her in films, and she plays a good plot device. But why is she not impeached, or why does no one say anything about her experimenting on people? Our heroes are like, nah, we'll let her go on that. And I'm like, I actually don't think any of these people, I don't understand this scene. So this scene needs to be reworked. I think it is just a simple moment between her and the Thunderbolts where they go through the curtain and she's like, it's visibly a press conference. And she turns around with the shit-eating kind of like, I'm an evil politician grin. And they're like, we're about to tell them that you experimented on people and you're going to be impeached. Enjoy your jail cell. And she's like, then I'm going to tell them that was Bob up there who did all of this to this city. And he's going to go to the raft with me and never see the sun again. And then they have to decide, do they send both of them to jail forever? Or do they give Bob a second chance, which means her kind of going free? That should be the decision that they're forced with.
That's
to be like, no,
choice.
Bob deserves a second chance. We're not actually going to send him to the raft or whatever jail for the rest of his life, which is where he would be sent if they knew that was him up in the sky. And it's like, no, we're going to give Bob a second chance and let Valentina go about her business. And then that's when Bucky would lean in and to be like, we own you. You know that, right? Like, that's when you say we own you.
Yeah. Because
that's when you say
right now you've done nothing.
You've done nothing. You just, if you own her, just send her to jail. Like, there's no reason not to do anything.
Yeah, like Bucky's a congressman.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to do what she tells him to do.
Yeah.
In any way.
And also, she's a straight up human experimenting
this is Bob. He's been experimented on.
Nazi villain, you know? Like, it would be, it's like the end of Captain America, him turning to Red Skull and to be like, I'll let you keep doing it, but
watch yourself.
I have a secret about you, so know that I own you. Like, why? Why would you? It makes no sense.
I agree the motivations of that scene are messy. I like that change. I think I was even thinking similarly, there needed to be in the scene you don't like in the mid-credit. That doesn't make any sense either. The vibes are off. I almost feel like there should be a line about how the new Avengers are kind of being held hostage because if they don't hang out with Bob, he'll accidentally destroy the world.
Oh, that's funny.
Like
we
Bucky's-
have to be with Bob.
Yeah, like Bucky's like, Sam, I would join the other Avengers. If I leave Bob, he might void out.
Hi, I'm Bob. Like just Bob.
And
yeah.
Bob's just in the background
See,
being
that's funny. That's
lighthearted
loose
and
and fun.
nice.
That's
but
that's lighthearted and funny.
It's more of an explanation of why they're doing this.
Ah, interesting. I
'Cause
like that too.
You got to keep him happy, or he's going to void out, and that's not good.
I like that. I like that too, to a certain degree.
I think
There's a way to play with that.
I think there is. I like yours because it keeps Julia Louis-Dreyfus around, who is great.
It serves the
And-
function that
and the
Marvel
heroes-
clearly wants,
the
which
heroes
is
one-up her.
Yeah, yeah. It serves the function that Marvel wants of keeping her around. It keeps the heroes powerful and above her.
Yep.
And it also keeps the heroes doing the thing that heroes do, which is giving shitty people a second chance to redeem themselves. And
That's an extra nice layer.
yeah, and it's an extra nice layer.
Especially for people who've like had trauma and hard lives.
Yeah. And I think it takes an extra 2 minutes of that scene, and it adds a lot.
I love this change. It should absolutely happen.
Thank you. Well, we've done it. We fixed this movie.
We did.
And now we're going to wrap up this week. But next week, we're going to be back, and we are building up to the release of the new/final.
The word's finals in the title.
The word's final in the. If that's the last Mission Impossible movie of my lifetime, I'll eat my fucking hat. There's no scenario where they leave that amount of money on the goddamn
It might
table.
be the final Tom Cruise one.
I don't even think that.
No, I don't really believe that either in my bones.
If Tom doesn't die making one of his next films, if Tom lives to an old age, there will be someone else who tries to do a Mission Impossible, and then he will get insecure and come back to Mission Impossible. There will be another Jeremy Renner type who almost gets it and then has it taken away as he returns. So
he does love to do that.
But either way, we're building up to Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, and next week we're talking about the first Mission Impossible.
Oh, that's going to be such a cool dichotomy of like
Yeah.
where we started to
The first
where
Mission
we've
Impossible
gotten.
film.
Yes. Oh,
Film.
yes, not the show.
Not the original television show, the first and original Mission Impossible film.
I'm actually very excited for this.
It's very exciting. Well, that's it for this week on the podcast. We'll be back next week. And in the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me online most places. I'm at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Words of Diana.
And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes. And you can find everything that we create over at FromSuperheroes.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.